What is up, guys? Welcome back to the Zach and Pat Show. I'm Zach.
I'm Pat.
This is the show about manhood, fatherhood, entrepreneurship, and the mentality it takes to be successful at those things. And we'll probably sprinkle in some helpful real estate advice too, because that's what Pat and I do. You know, guys, life can be tough. We can go through some things and struggle at times, but this is the show to let you know that you're not alone. So if you're someone out there going through any of these things, this is the show for you.
Shout out to our friends over at Captain Beard Co. Guys, if you are looking for beard care products, shampoo, conditioner, body wash, give Captain Beard Co. a try. They have this unbelievable beard butter, balm, oils, and then it smells amazing. Ladies, if you're looking for something for your men as a gift to help with their grooming, check them out. Also, if you guys are looking to just set the mood one night, candles, unbelievably smelling candles made with all natural ingredients here locally to St. Louis. Give them a shot. Also, while you're there, use the promo code Zach and Pat for 10% off your purchase.
Hey there, guys. I really appreciate you checking out the Zach and Pat Show. If you can obviously tell, we are a newer podcast, but one way we're really trying to grow the show is trying to get up the amount of subscribers we have. So, you know, if you're watching the show and you're getting something out of it, we'd really appreciate it if you could click that subscribe button. That would help us out a ton. Please click that button. And now back to the show. We have a very special guest here in studio. This is someone I've worked with for a long time, my whole real estate career. He's been my photographer. He shot pretty much every listing I've ever done in the last 5 years. The great and powerful Jason Metropolous from Metrospect Media. Welcome to the show.
Well, thanks for having me, guys.
Sir.
Yeah, excited to be here.
Yeah, man. Thanks for coming on. I appreciate you taking the time. And just want to kind of start off. Obviously, you're a photographer. When did you get your first camera?
Oh, well, first camera I stole from my dad.
Yeah.
So that would have been like, I don't know, 5.
5? Oh, really?
Yeah.
Young.
So, yeah. And then, funny story, so I was using my dad's camera, didn't even record. I just used it to like learn composition. At the time, I didn't know what I was doing. That's what I was learning. I just loved having cameras and stuff. My brother took it, smashed it.
Oh, no.
In front of me.
Just threw it on the ground.
Yeah, and I bought one of them that I upgraded at the time, and I bought a new one like for my dad on a garage sale that my dad was selling. He smashed it because he was mad that I got it, and he had to give me his camera, his video camera, and that's when I could actually start recording things.
And so, how old were you when this happened?
I was probably like 8 at that point.
Holy shit! So you started really fucking.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I've been in love with cameras since a kid. I always played. Yeah.
Damn.
So I've been making movies like ever since like middle school.
Really?
Before like YouTube was cool.
Okay.
Very cool.
Damn.
So, should have stuck
Mr.
with it
Beast.
though.
Right? You should've damn it. Didn't come up with YouTube.
Yeah.
Shit, dude.
Yeah.
That's incredible. So then, how did you kind of get into it as a, that was a hobby? Obviously, it started as a hobby. How did it get into, how did you become a professional? Like, how did you start, doing it and getting paid to do it?
Yeah. So to kind of sum it all up, so I actually wanted to move out to LA and work in the film industry. That was my goal all of my life as a kid. I made movies all the time in high school and stuff like that. And I started my high school broadcast. But then in college, so in high school, I started filming weddings for fun and to make some money.
Okay.
So my uncle at the time, my cousin was getting married, and he's like, "Hey, do you want to film the wedding? I'll pay you." I was like, well, I've been saving up to buy a new video camera. So I did that. He paid me a couple $100 at the time, I think.
Wow.
And I started
What a
filming,
deal.
Yeah. And I started filming weddings from that as just like a side hustle to make money in high school.
In high school? Okay.
Yeah. And then in college, I went to film school, and I took an LA class. It was called like LA Careers. And you go out to
where'd you go to film school?
Webster University.
Okay.
Yeah. So I went out there for like a week or two, got to learn the industry, meet with a bunch of people from like 20th Century Fox, Nickelodeon, like Webster grads that moved out there, learned about the whole process. And that's when I realized I really didn't want to move out there.
Yeah.
What made you not want to move to LA?
I honestly, I love it out in California. I just like St. Louis better. I knew
said not many people ever.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, it's great out there. It's warm and stuff. And there's so many cool things to do out there, but it wasn't the lifestyle I wanted. I didn't want to work my ass off, be stuck in traffic for 4 hours a day. Just to live in an apartment with 7 other guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Doesn't sound ideal.
Yeah. And then hopefully one day if I work really hard and make good money, I could have 1 kid in a small apartment with my wife. You know? So I'm like, no, it's just not. I wanted the Midwest life.
Yeah.
So hopefully one day I want to have like a big house and stuff. So So yeah, and then at the time I was running my business. So I've been filming weddings for 17 years now.
Shit, dude.
Yeah.
That's
So,
crazy.
which is crazy. 'Cause last year we did over like 100 weddings.
Oh wow, that's
So
a lot.
it's a lot. We do
Damn.
like 3 weddings a weekend.
That's
Jeez.
crazy.
So, and I don't shoot them all. I have a team.
I was gonna
but
say,
yeah,
what,
can't do them all.
what's your company structure
Yeah.
or team structure look like?
So like weddings, a lot of them we use like, independent contractors, but I've trained them. So everyone works with me before they can ever shoot for Metrospect. And then we have 3 full-time people that work for me. So a lot of times the full-time people take lead spots on weddings and we use the second as like a freelancer to help out. But they've been shooting like everyone that does weddings has been shooting weddings for a couple of years now.
It's
So
awesome.
that's been good. But yeah, so I went out to LA and I was like, this isn't for me. I knew I could be successful out there because I want to be a director of photography. But at the time I took like a business class at Webster too. And I'm like, man, I actually like learning about marketing and like even accounting was kind of interesting to me. So I was like, I'm just gonna,
Again, not said by many.
Yeah,
not
no.
said by many.
I actually find accounting interesting, but like I struggle to understand it sometimes.
Yeah.
There's a lot of terminology there. So yeah, I just was like, you know what, that's it. I'm gonna get my business degree too at Webster. And so my last senior year, I got my just like a business entrepreneurship certificate. Took a couple more business classes, and I was like, all right, that's it. I'm gonna keep growing my business, and that's what I'm gonna do. So yeah, and from there, that would have been about 8 years ago. That's when I really officially made Metrospect a company. That's when we got our own, like when I moved out, I got my first office space, and really started growing from there and started hiring my first employees.
Well,
And growing.
wow, that's
That's
awesome.
Yeah.
Incredible.
So how did you start? Like, what was the first steps in starting Metrospect? And where did the name come from, first of all?
Oh, so the name has changed over the years.
Okay.
At one point it was called Greek Squad Videos.
Greek
that was
Squad.
the high school version.
Okay.
Which it is funny. I've actually had like people I shot their weddings and they're like, they remember that name. And I'm like, that's funny.
It's like it's not an easy one to forget.
Yeah. But I want to do something. I always liked the name Retrospect. That's what I wanted to do, but that was taken. I was like, why don't I just play on word of it and just use part of my last name?
Yeah.
So I did, Metrospect Media.
That's a great name.
Yeah.
I'm just always curious where that came from.
Yeah, and I knew I couldn't do my full last name because no one can spell it.
Yeah.
'Cause
I had to like look it up. I had to, like when I was
Good, strong
filling out my
Greek name.
Yeah.
Very Greek. Yeah.
Yeah, very Greek.
Wait, so that wedding you shot, was that like my big fat Greek wedding? Was that was a movie? That's what you came up with?
No.
I've that one.
I've actually done a lot of Greek weddings, and it's funny because like, yeah, I'm Greek, so I can say we're very like, yeah, kind of like that movie, but they're all good people.
Sure.
And my mom always says like our wedding was just like that movie.
Really?
They got married in a Greek church and a Catholic church.
Oh wow.
So
shit.
2 weddings, one day, one wedding dress, I guess.
Oh.
So yeah.
So how did beginning early stages of Metrospect, what did that look like?
Early stages was in my mom's basement,
Okay.
trying to save money. I invested every single dollar I got in my equipment. I've never been someone to like spend money on like cars or like personal items. I try to always put in my business. And then I knew like to grow it, I need to hire an editor. That's like the hardest part.
Is the editing?
Yeah. Cause like you spend an hour shooting or you can make like 3 videos out of that. And
Right.
that takes even more time. So keeping up with the editing was really hard. And I even learned that in college. So I had to take a semester off at when I was in St. Louis Community College for my first year of college. And because I got so overwhelmed, I went from doing like 5 weddings the year before to 30.
Oh.
And I couldn't keep up with the edit.
Yeah.
And I thought I could. I was trying to
It
go.
was just you at the time?
Yeah, it was just me. And I was trying to go to school full time, work a part time job, and edit. And I was like, this is not possible.
Oh.
Which it really ended up being like, it was one of my biggest like failures in life. And I hurt the company at the time because I actually fell so far behind on my edits. And I mean, I was still learning. I was a teenager, basically,
Mhm.
So I was like, okay, I have to hire someone to help me. I took a semester off college just to get caught up in my edits and get my videos to my clients. So I know, and it was pretty bad, guys. So my mom actually had to sit me down. She's like, you got to call these clients. And at the time I was like, so scared to tell people that I need more time to edit because I didn't want to disappoint them.
Sure.
If I was really disappointing them by not communicating. So I learned then that communication with your clients is like the biggest thing you can do to grow. And which is what I'm really proud of, like Metrospect. Like we get compliments all the time now. we always get back to people within like 2 hours if they ever like send us an email and stuff. I have actually hired my sister full time to actually handle emails and stuff.
Oh, you guys are great. I mean,
Yeah.
that's why anytime I need
Yeah.
questions, like I get an answer almost immediately.
Yeah. So we're very on top of it. We even have like built a website now. They can just book stuff online.
So, obviously started out. Tell me, what was it like hiring your first employee?
It was nerve wracking because I'm like, okay, now I'm responsible for someone else, not just my salary. Because at the time, like, sure, I had a car payment and stuff, but I was living at my mom's house and stuff. I wasn't too scared. But when I hired someone, I'm like, okay, now I got to worry about them. And it took a while because you know you have to like manage people. I don't mean like I control every second of their lives, so I'm like, okay, I got to make sure they're working on what we need to get done. So it was definitely a learning curve and stuff.
I'm sure.
So yeah, I mean, but I think I'm pretty good. I used to be a supervisor at Bethesda Health Group
Okay.
at a retirement home.
You had some
So
management experience.
yeah, so I like was in charge of a team of 12 people. So
Yeah.
so I don't know, it was pretty good. I also the hardest thing with it, like editing, like the way I edit is like I don't know, I'm not a fast editor, but I'm very precise, and I very much care about the edit almost too much, which is kind of a problem when it comes to editing because you're never getting anything done.
Right. If if you spend too much time trying to make every little thing perfect.
Right.
Yeah. And you know, like with real estate videos and like photography and stuff, everyone wants it next day.
Yeah.
So you can't spend 12
I
hours.
expect it next day.
Yeah.
No, just fucking around.
Yeah.
But no, but it's true. How did you get into real estate photography? I
Yeah.
know you kind of was it like I know you were working with a lot of the Sotheby's people, and then is that kind of how it began?
Yeah.
Or?
So what happened was when I was in at Webster, so when I was getting my business certificate, the CEO and head of marketing at Dealman Sotheby's was at my, I had to do a business plan presentation in front of a bunch of business owners and like business people. And they were there and they were really impressed by my business presentation. And I was the only person actually getting an entrepreneurship like degree that had a business.
Oh.
Everyone else is like, yeah, after college, I'm going to start a business.
Do this. Yeah.
I'm like, if you want to start a business, start it now. What are you waiting for?
What are you waiting for?
Yeah, even if it's on a small scale, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, they were really impressed, and he's like, hey, I said one of our problems was I wanted an office space because I'm not a person that can work from home. It's always been a struggle with me. I like to separate my work life and my home life as best I can. Which, as you guys know, like running your own business and stuff, there is no such thing as you're off. Like
Never.
Truly,
Yeah. No, never really.
Always working.
yeah.
No, I totally agree with that because I'm just now kind of getting that ever since we got this new space. I've been working out of my house and coffee shops and going into our big office every once in a while. But over the last 5 years, that's what I've done, and it's I've been successful with it. But now actually having a place to go every day that I can kind of like separate work from home has been really really helpful to me. And it's just kind of like that separation. When I'm home, I can be home, and when I'm here, I can work. And it's been huge for me, I think, and I wish I would have done it a lot sooner.
Yeah. So, I mean, it was definitely something I was super happy when I did it. But yeah, I mean, Dealman offered me a really good deal to rent out one of their spaces in their office.
I didn't know you worked right in their office.
Yeah, I was literally in their office space.
Cool.
So they gave me a little like corner room, and it was great. It was in Clayton. Couldn't complain. I loved it. They were so good to me there. And they didn't have any stipulations like you can only work for them or anything like that.
That's cool.
I think the big thing was they wanted to push more video at the time, and this is 8 years ago when like real estate videography was just starting.
Yeah.
So they were like, yeah, we want our agents to get on this. We know this is the future. So they liked it, and then I did some like in-house videos for them, and I did some like marketing videos, which made them look really great because no one else at the time and no other agencies were doing it. So it was a good partnership. And I was there for 6 years.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I actually just moved out of the space, and they eventually gave me more space and stuff in there. And we were able to grow a little bit more, but it was just to the point we had too many team members and we were getting too big, too much equipment. Like my basement had a bunch of equipment. So I'm like, okay, I can't put everything in the office. So we did end up getting a space in Maryland Heights, and that's where the office is now.
Right?
Yeah, that was it'll be 2 years ago in August.
Yeah.
So pretty new still. Yeah.
That's great, man.
Yeah. And
Dealman Sotheby, I mean, you're shooting some pretty nice homes.
yeah.
Yeah. Ted and I'll do Ted. Ted always has the coolest listings.
Yeah. He's got some cool ones.
Hell yeah. What's the coolest house you've ever shot?
Oh, that's tough. Because I shot a house in Kansas City that looked like a castle.
Really?
I think it was like 12 million.
Holy shit.
And they paid me to stay in a hotel and come out there and shoot this.
Dude.
This would have been probably 5 years ago.
Wow.
Because again, it wasn't me. There's not I mean, there's a lot more people now that do real estate videography. Not back then. There wasn't many of us.
Yeah.
And that could do it good, you know? So yeah, I went out there. That was really cool. I mean, I spent all day shooting that house,
Oh, I'm
but I did
sure.
the photos too. Took me 8 hours.
I'm sure.
It was like,
yeah.
How big was that thing?
I think it was 14,000 square feet.
Holy shit.
Wow.
Yeah. One person lived there with her butler.
Whoa.
Wait,
And then
what?
a butler
In the
lived there
owner.
full time. And then they had a maid that came like every day, but she didn't live
Wow.
there. The homeowner was only there like 3 weeks out of the year.
What the fuck's the point of having
What?
a house? What? Like, just because? No, jeez.
Yeah,
That's-
I do think if I remember right, her husband like passed away, so she was like, "I'm gonna sell it." She
Yeah.
was spending all of her time in New York. But yeah, the place was insane. But they had so much trouble selling that place
Oh,
because
sure.
they built this like $12 million mansion next to like $1 million houses in this like neighborhood, and they're like, "Well, the super rich don't want to live next to just the rich people."
Right. Yeah. Just the regular
Yeah.
rich.
Yeah, they want to live.
Just goes to tell you, never have the nicest house in the subdivision.
Yes.
Yeah. You never want to have the nicest house never have the nicest house on the street.
Yeah. And for
It's just
12
make it harder
million,
to
like
sell.
you can build a new house. I feel like,
Yeah.
and they rather just
Do a
have it
lot of things
custom,
with
yeah.
You could build a couple houses with 12 million.
Yes.
Especially in
fucking
Missouri.
neighborhood.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially in fucking Missouri, man. Like, wow.
It's
So
incredible.
when did you? So obviously you started with primarily doing video for weddings and stuff. When did you kind of switch to doing photography?
Yeah.
Like just photos and stuff. Is that something you kind of always did with it, or is that? I know those are kind of two separate. I mean,
Yeah.
they're in the same ballpark, but kind of two different sports, right?
Yeah. I mean, when you break it down, they're pretty similar,
Yeah.
but they are different in many ways. And it's really, I always say it's more in the editing work. Personally, I think like editing photos, in my opinion, is a little bit easier, and it's easier to teach people to edit. Than video, when there's like audio, you got to work in the music. There's more layers to it. Not saying that editing photos is easy, but they are coming out with AI that can help with photo editing.
That's something I was going to. I wanted to get
There's not a
into.
whole lot with video yet, so
No, but I'm sure it's coming.
it's
Yeah.
coming.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the switch was when I started doing Dealman, after a year of shooting just real estate videos, I had a huge demand for photography because everybody just wanted to hire one person that could do both. So I started messing around with real estate photography, and I've been doing it ever since.
Yeah, because you do a great job.
Yeah,
How do you make the houses look so big?
Yeah. a wide angle lens.
Yeah, wide angle lens, baby.
Yeah. But
I always say real estate photographers are like magicians. That's like my little line that I always say whenever I'm showing houses, because like
Never trust the photograph.
yeah, because people get in houses and like, oh, it looks
Looks
it doesn't feel as big as it looked in the photo.
Yeah.
Which
And
is,
and it's not just the lens,
Sure.
like it's, obviously the editing. And I think like I say, what's a good photographer versus a great photographer? A good photographer, yeah, they know how to like evenly edit the lighting, make it look nice and stuff. But a great photographer takes the time to move stuff. Like when I shoot a house, I see a trash can or
yes,
a
that's-
plunger in the damn bathroom, I move it.
dude, that's one of the things that
Yeah.
you guys do that like it's huge to me. Like Ben, who shoots a lot of my
Yeah.
your guy Ben, like he knows like if there's a trash can or if there's I'm always in there just making sure. But he's always good at making sure he like knows all my little pet peeves at this point.
Yeah.
And it's great.
Yeah.
And obviously you know them too because you've shot a ton of them too. But as we know, you're a busy guy. You can't shoot every single house.
Yeah.
So yeah, Ben's great. I've gotten to know him pretty well over the years.
Yeah. Even with that, my employees have gone so far to move an adult diaper off a bed
Whoa,
that was used. It was
gross.
gross. I was like, why did you move it? I would never make you move that.
Yeah,
They're like, well, you always move stuff. I'm like, no, you don't have to move it.
Not that. Not a shitty diaper.
Well,
Yeah.
you told us about the coolest ones, and we've heard some horror stories from Zach touring houses. What's the weirdest thing you've come across?
I mean, I've done a lot of it seems like meth houses, honestly.
Really?
Like, I've done a house.
Ben's shot one for me.
Yeah.
Me and Ben were like, all right, dude, let's get out of here.
We actually have a real estate client, and he gets like the wildest houses, and they're all over Missouri. Like we go to Jefferson City, Columbia, Kansas City, and he pays well, and like he pays us to travel. He understands that it's a lot, and there's not really real estate photographers in the middle of nowhere, Missouri. So we go out there, and sometimes we'll shoot these houses though, and they have like part of the roof is gone and stuff. But I think he like really takes them and like he flips the houses and stuff.
Sure.
He's always having us go over.
advertising it to people that want to flip it.
Yeah. So
Yeah, that's I've had to shoot some of those before, and I'm just like, like I'm like, make it look as good as you can, you know,
Yeah.
like, try to not get that big old stain on the wall over there.
Avoid the blood stain.
Let's avoid the blood stains and the trash and the whatever else.
The body outline. We're gonna cover that up
the
with
dirty
a rug.
needles and the
Yeah.
Oh man. So yeah, she shot some messed up. Well, now I'm sure you've been to a ton of weddings at this point.
Mhm.
Was there like one that kind of sticks out as far, actually, what's the craziest wedding, like most extravagant wedding you think you've ever been to?
Oh, that's tough. I've definitely done like a couple $100,000 weddings. I mean, I did one in Hawaii, which was awesome.
They flew you out there?
Yeah,
That's
flew me
awesome.
out, stayed out there. So that was great.
Maybe we picked the wrong profession.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm actually going to the Key West to shoot another wedding this in March.
Sweet.
Very
So
cool.
and they're paying for my travel and all that.
Dude,
so
that's incredible.
yeah, so I travel a little bit. I've done one in California, Minnesota, Mexico, which was a great one. So and those like the Mexico one wasn't like crazy expensive or anything, but it's fun to travel.
Sure.
Now, are
It's
these
a little vacation for you too,
Yeah.
I mean, you're working,
Well,
but
that's people think that, and it's not a
not.
vacation because like
yeah,
also
you're working. Yeah, it makes
yeah,
sense. Yeah.
it's just like well, it's so much you have to do, and like
When you're
you don't-
bringing everything
Well, I couldn't
there.
imagine trying to get all your stuff across the border and down.
going to Mexico is terrifying
Oh man.
because I'm like
packing all your stuff, and
Yeah.
it's obviously very fragile, and it's expensive, and it's
Yeah.
like, man, something getting knocked around on the plane.
Right, and you're traveling through all this stuff and carrying the stuff around. Now, just putting a target on your back too.
Sure. Yeah, I didn't think about that.
yeah, Mexico's probably the only one I'm like worried of like going through because I only know exactly the rules. Maybe I shouldn't say this here, but like filming weddings there. But I'm like, well, they're Americans. They're paying to get their wedding out there,
Sure.
And the resorts charge like fees and stuff to bring your own vendors.
Now, are you getting hooked up with these through like wedding planners, or are these things that like people come to you and find you and like, no, we want you to come to our weddings?
Yeah. So honestly, most of our like 95% of our weddings is just word of mouth.
Okay.
And it's usually a past couple we shot, someone's friend's wedding, of what a lot of wedding photographers recommend us because they know we don't do wedding photography and they know we work well with people. It's amazing how many wedding videographers don't work well with photographers. So I'm like,
Really?
it's really not that hard. Just be respectful,
Yeah.
and like I train my people, and I think because I take the time to actually literally train our videographers, like look at their camera, look at the lens they're using. If they're on a 70-200, something really tight, they're shooting super close, so you can get closer to the couple. You look at the lens. If they're on like a 24 or something, they're shooting wide. So then you just step back, give them more room. And I usually let the photographers like do their job. And then I'll run in like, hey, I'm gonna just do a quick shot. And I'm ready to go. Like it takes me 10 seconds. I get my shot. And like if you see my work, it's really good.
Yeah.
And so not to brag, but
No, it's
Well, I
very-
mean,
yeah.
you must be if you got people
Yeah.
flying you all over the country. Well, shit, all over
All
the world.
yeah.
To shoot their weddings. That's incredible.
Yeah. So, yeah. And I think it's just we work well with people. I always, I had my uncle always said, you always want to give people more than what they paid for. So I always like try to like, when I do a wedding, I charge a reasonable price and I'm giving them way more than what other people charge or stuff. But so,
Oh,
yeah.
I totally agree. I mean, as far as like what you charge for real estate photography, like it's
Yeah.
so reasonable. And like people have asked me that before, like, hey, what does your guy charge? And I always, say roughly, it depends on the size of the house, yada, yada, yada. But
yeah.
it's usually between this and this. And, people are always shocked to find that out. And like, oh, it's it's very reasonable. And that's amazing.
You know what's wild? Last week, I had a real estate agent call me, and I told him our prices. He's like, he was like drawn out, and his like response to that, I'm like, oh, does he think I'm really expensive? I'm like, we're on the standard of what the market charges
Oh,
in St.
100%.
Louis, and he's like, how do you survive with such cheap prices? I was like, hey, thanks for actually
Yeah.
calling that
Mhm.
out. It is like, I mean, real estate. I think a lot of people get into real estate thinking it's like, super profitable. It's not crazy profitable, but you have to do a lot of work. And that's like, luckily, we've expanded so much that we do a lot of listings a week. So we do make a good profit.
Plus
if
the
I was-
turnaround time.
Yeah,
'Cause
plus
they
the
want
turnaround.
you need those quick.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure the COVID switch in the way the market changed kind of helped you out. I know it did with me.
Yeah.
Like before, I get a call from a client. I need to get a pre-approval done that day.
Yeah.
Now it's like, hey, we can actually take the time and work that pre-approval and like really coach and consult with buyers now and get them prepared, because the house isn't hitting the market until Thursday or Friday.
Yeah.
So now, I mean, I guess that might help you as well. Go out Monday, get it to them by Friday.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, all of our photos are turned around in 24 hours
okay.
and video. And we have some clients that need it same day. And like, we're happy to do that. We just charge a little extra fee. And like, we try not to shoot weekends because, we try to keep weekends off with the family
Oh, it's smart.
and weddings.
Except for weddings.
Right.
Yeah. I was say weddings. You're probably,
That's your bread and butter right there.
Yeah.
I would say, what portion of your business is weddings? Would you say like it's got to be a huge portion of it, right?
It's probably 50%.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Less than I thought.
Yeah. So it's definitely our biggest portion. But we actually do a lot of corporate commercial work, content video for people. So that's it. And then real estate's probably 20%.
Okay.
And that's like probably based off revenue. If you went to our workload at the office, you'd be like, well, it's probably like 50% real estate.
Really?
And like,
It takes so much time.
yeah. And it's like 40%, weddings. And then you would think like the rest is just the corporate videos. But, yeah.
So when you say corporate videos, what do you mean by that? Like commercials or like?
Yeah, like training videos. Like I did a video for Best Buy once, and it was like one of the videos on the display for Samsung.
Oh, okay.
I shot like their new laptop that came out one time. So stuff like that. Stuff that's like played in lobbies, business videos for like, come and meet this company and like learn about us and stuff. Recruitment videos. I did a recruitment video for Franklin County Sheriff's Office,
Cool.
which was awesome. One of my favorite shoots.
Really? Why is that?
Because they had me work with a SWAT team, and
Oh,
we got to
cool.
do like a raid on a motel, and they had the dogs and stuff.
So you're just like following these guys around with the camera?
Yeah, and they actually blew open the door, and they're like, "Yeah, we're gonna do explosives." The weirdest thing was they actually patted us down and like searched us.
Just to make sure you guys weren't.
Well, they said they wanted to make sure there's nothing like that could cause it to trigger the device or something. So they could like see everything. I was thrown off by that. I'm like, I've never been patted down in my life.
Yeah.
I don't get in
I'd like
trouble.
to do that again.
Yeah. So that was a bonus. No.
Yeah.
So that was really cool. And honestly, like, I don't know, like I know cops are very, like all those people are super nice and stuff. And I don't know much about like the political stuff when it comes with like the Franklin County Sheriff's Office, but all the guys over there were super nice and then they have a hard job. So,
Oh, yeah.
and I mean, as a, especially as guys, we love the toys and stuff, like seeing an armored vehicle and stuff.
Yeah.
Is
And all
cool,
the guns and all the cool stuff in there. Yeah.
Yeah, they have like an armored Hummer and stuff. I'm like, this is cool.
That's pretty badass.
It was a fun shoot. So
For sure.
Yeah.
yeah.
Damn. That's awesome. So go ahead.
I was going to say, do you any like the artsy side of things where like nature or still, photos like that you're submitting for like stuff like that? Do you do things like that?
I used to.
Yeah.
My goal was to take like part of a revenue and like make movies. Because I still have that, like, I am a filmmaker. And I still want to make some movies. I've gotten so busy with work that I have less time, especially during COVID. Once COVID happened, I really stopped doing so much like film stuff and like passion projects, I should say. It's not as much now. But I do, so I get to travel a lot with my wife. So I make some really cool travel videos.
That's awesome.
So yeah, and she works for Merritt's travel global events.
That helps.
Yeah. So she's like she does travel incentive plans and stuff for clients. So a lot of times she has to go out and like we just went to Italy. So I get to go with her and like film everything. So that's
so cool.
the problem is though, I never have time to edit the video.
Now you can expense it. Like,
Yeah.
hey,
Yeah.
you know what? This is a write-off.
Yes. So, and then we're going to Greece in August.
Damn.
Oh.
So have you
Oh
been
my
there before?
I was there. I've been there when I was 7.
Okay.
And actually family there. So I'm like,
Oh,
I'm
cool.
Facebook friends with them. So I'm actually gonna go meet them. I'm like, I don't speak Greek though,
Okay.
but I know one of my cousins and his name's Taiki.
Taiki.
Very Greek name.
Yeah.
He speaks English. So we're going to go meet up with him and stuff. I'm like, this is cool. Like
Which island?
so they're in Athens.
Okay.
Oh, cool.
So
Just the history over there is Greece has always been a place that I've wanted to get to, just to do the island hopping, Santorini, Mykonos, Athens.
Yeah.
Just looks so beautiful over there.
yeah, I mean, I know it was awesome when I was 7, but I was 7.
When you're 7.
Now you can like really appreciate
Yes.
it.
At the time, I was just like, look at these. It's hot.
Right. Yeah.
I remember like I didn't want to eat anything because I only ate like mac and cheese on that trip.
Really?
Yeah.
And now like I love all foods.
Right.
Yeah. Give me that lamb.
Yes.
I want a gyro.
Yes.
Yeah, dude. I used to be so picky with food when I was a kid. Or not like super picky. I mean, but compared to like what I will eat now, which is just about anything. Like when I was a kid, I just was not
I wish I was a picky eater.
really.
Yeah.
Why?
Because I eat everything. Everything is good.
Yeah. Now I wish I was. Yeah. As a kid now.
Yeah, but I just hate being that like guy that like when somebody has something and you like, oh, I don't like this on it.
Oh no. I mean, no. I wish I had that problem. I'm just like, oh, like, I'm sorry, I'll pass on that one. But
Yeah.
instead, I eat it.
Yeah.
Put on weight.
Oh man. Well, Jason, has there been any like crazy wedding stories? I mean, is it like a bridezilla or like a crazy best man speech or like anything like that you've experienced in these weddings? Because obviously
Yeah.
you're going to a lot of them.
Yeah. I get that question all the time. And honestly, there's so many that they kind of blend together sometimes.
It's really that bad? Like there's
Yeah. Because I've probably done what, like 500 weddings
Oh,
at this
yeah.
point.
Fuck.
Like it's a lot. But yeah, I mean, I remember a couple. So like, I guess crazy story. I don't know. I guess also I'll say their names. I guess.
Yeah. So let's leave the
yeah,
names out of it. We can just say
yeah.
bride and groom.
Yeah, we had like, I mean, I've seen too many grooms get too drunk and not like make it through the reception. Like one didn't make it to the reception at all.
No
Like,
shit.
no entrance, no cake cutting, nothing.
Wow.
They had to like carry him up to his room.
Come on, man.
Yeah. So luckily, I'm really good at the video. Yeah, I hit a lot of things. And
I was able to CGI him.
Yes.
Looking like Tupac on stage.
Yeah. And I'm all for guys having fun, but like,
Yeah.
It's the biggest
Yeah.
day of your life.
like,
Yeah.
guys, we can hold together.
No shit.
Get to the reception, open dance floor, then
Yeah,
go
then start
drink
drinking.
all you want.
Yeah. It's like once you get through all the events and all the things, like there's a time and a place.
Well,
to
I will say, having been a part of weddings, I just got married at a courthouse, so I didn't really get to have that wedding, or experience that. But like having been in weddings, I mean, you eat in the morning, but then you're not eating again until, and even when you do, it's like you get a bite,
snacks
you
on
get
the
a,
bus.
you
and
get a,
shit.
yeah, it's not really like you're getting to eat. So it's like, boy, guys, watch that alcohol because it'll hit you pretty.
You gotta
quick.
hydrate.
Yeah.
And I say like the secret is liquid IV.
Oh
Okay.
yeah,
Like,
I love
that's
that stuff.
Pedialytes.
That's a super helpful. Like I'm always like, I actually just bring them and like I'll give them to the
Smart.
groom or something sometimes. And that's how I survive because I don't have time to drink much water. And you're always ask any wedding videographer or photographer, they're always dehydrated by
Oh,
the
I
end of the
believe
day. So that's one thing I've been doing to help. It's just like, because I don't know, I have to chug this one water between the ceremony and reception.
Right, 'cause
So,
you got your hands are full and you're running around.
Yeah.
It's like you're just not, and you get so busy you're not thinking about it.
Yeah.
It's game time. Because
Yeah.
it's like you can't go back and recapture these moments. It's like, oh no, go back and do that again.
Yeah.
like
Yes, exactly. And I think that's like the biggest thing is like you have to be ready for everything. I always like tell my employees like you have to, it's not about just capturing the moment, you have to be thinking about the next moment. So like, okay, we're cutting the cake, but I have to know that they're about to do the first dance next. And that's a different setup. I have
Sure.
to move cameras and stuff. So I always have to think one step ahead at least. So, but that's made me really good at what I do. So
yeah.
Yeah.
So now, how did COVID impact your business? Like, how did it change?
it was a
things?
wild, as everyone knows,
Yeah,
wild
it kinda
year.
changed everybody's everything. I mean,
Yeah.
businesses in general. I'm just curious how it
Yeah.
affected yours.
So I was very like fortunate in the sense. So going into COVID, I was actually saving to buy a house, and I'm pretty like I try to be very financially responsible. Like I want to put 20% down, and luckily I literally put an offer on a house, and then like one day later they're closing everything down for COVID. I'm like, oh god.
Yeah.
And luckily they didn't accept the offer. For whatever reason, I think it went under because that's at the time you could still do that.
Yeah.
Because I think my agent's like, well, things are getting weird in the market and it's been on for 2 months. Just,
Yeah,
go
right
a
on the low
little
ball.
less. Yeah. And they didn't accept it. And it was probably the best thing that ever happened because luckily I had that money to help finance the company. And I didn't have to cut any employees and stuff during the time.
That's good.
So there was a couple weeks when like it was really dead because I was like, can we do real estate? Can we not? You remember it was like
we
a
were still doing
2 week.
real estate. Yeah.
Yeah. It was like a 2 week period that felt like it was like real awkward. And then real estate just boomed. I mean, we got swamped. I would say it's probably like 10 times. We started doing like 10 times the amount of real estate work during COVID. And it was everyone at the time before that point, 2020, video was like for the $1 million house or $1 million plus house. Like you didn't do it on a $300,000 house or something.
Right.
It was only the super high end houses. And then COVID happened. Like everyone has to have video. Like you have to have it if you're going to list it, and you need 360, and you need, floor plans and all this stuff. So that really helped. And we did a ton. All of our weddings, luckily, I mean, there was a while we couldn't shoot any weddings. But we just rescheduled them for next year and stuff. So I had those deposits still, because we take a little deposit for every wedding.
Yeah.
So that helped finance the company. So yeah, I mean, overall, we actually went up in sales over 2020.
That's
Oh, that's
right.
I
awesome.
think it was like a 10% increase in sales, which
Even with
yeah.
I'm sure it was significantly less weddings.
Yeah.
Right? You know.
well, it's just like really people just froze. I mean, we did a lot of backyard weddings. Oh, and we started doing live streaming.
Oh,
So
Okay.
luckily, I had helped some companies out with live streaming in the past. I
like
did
live
have
streaming what?
weddings.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
And just like
Basically-
events.
Basically, just have the bride and groom and the immediate family, and then
Yeah,
live
in a
streaming it.
backyard.
Yeah.
It's like 5 people in a backyard, and we're live streaming it so all their friends and family around the
that's cool.
country can watch. So I started offering that, and that really boomed too. So that helped. And I even got like asked to be in a magazine and do like an interview about like live streaming weddings, because it was like a kind of a newer concept.
Sure.
So I think that helped too. So I mean, we did a ton of live stream weddings that year.
Now, do they do live stream on YouTube or?
Yeah, we just
Okay.
stream to YouTube and our website.
Okay, well,
So-
after this, we're going to talk because we're having some issue. We've done a couple of live stream podcasts, and the last
Yeah.
one we did,
Really?
we had an issue.
Yeah, we do fight companions for our big MMA or for big UFC fights.
Yeah.
So-
and
Oh,
we're
okay.
fans of the UFC, and a lot of the people we have on the podcast are fighters and stuff, and so we'll help put the UFC fights on, and we'll just like kind of talk about them while they're going on. And
Yeah.
the last one we did, it was we found out kind of during the process, and we're like, well, I guess
The audio is super
the
choppy.
audio was just like cutting in and out really, really bad, and
From the live stream or
yeah.
from your.
it was
It is-
just on the live stream.
And, like,
Just
so
like
we were recording everything like this, so
Yeah.
we ended up going back and editing it out by putting this audio to it. But like during the live, it was really choppy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we definitely. Yeah, we take
I
a
don't
look.
know if
and
it was
stuff.
like a Wi-Fi connection or what, but
Yeah.
anyway, yeah, well, we can
Yeah,
hash that out after this, just to see if you have any pointers for us.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, it was one little problem we've ran into, but
Well, and so going back to the business, it seems like you're very creative when it comes to adapting to certain situations. How
yeah.
What are some other things that you've done with your business in terms of the wedding shooting, like adding anything else to that aspect of it, or with real estate photography, you mentioned of adding the videos to it, and then like the 3D stuff. Do you do any of the 3D stuff like that too, or?
Yeah, a lot of it's more like floor plans and like
Gotcha.
360. I mean, 360 was everyone was doing that during COVID.
Right. It was almost
and,
like you had to.
and I feel like Zillow launched something then, and they were
Mhm.
like super pushing it. If you did a 360, like ranked it up in Zillow, I think.
yeah, they still do
Um,
that.
Yeah. So it doesn't seem like very popular now. I don't have many agents asking me about it now.
Well, because it's very. I think the way Zillow does it, if I'm not mistaken, you have to be a selected agent in a certain area. I think they only do a certain amount of. At least that's the way it's been described to me.
Mm.
That they only do like a certain amount of agents per market that they allow that for now. I think so. It makes those
Interesting.
listings stand out more. So I guess it's more like
Yeah.
desirable to be a Zillow Premier agent or whatever it
Okay.
is. I don't know.
That's
it's
probably
been-
why.
yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's been fine. I've done it a couple times, and it's I don't necessarily know if it helps that much, but if I'm always just thinking like, oh, it's a couple, it's obviously more costs associated with it, with paying for the 360 videos and then paying for the Zillow Premiere and stuff, but for some of those higher end listings that you just kind of really want to make sure that it goes well, I'm like, I'll put the extra money toward it.
Yeah.
And
I think it's tough with the 360 though, because you see everything.
yes.
Like everything. And then, like, so it's like, okay, you have to make sure the house is perfection.
Yeah.
Because that's like, as sometimes people want it. I'm like, okay. Well, like one house I shot was like $1 million house. Their dining room, at the time they had me come out there to shoot it, it was like they had a huge, like
Chandelier.
like they ripped off a painting off the wall or something, and it was like the walls all messed up. I'm like, I can't fix this in a 360 tour. Like it's not.
Right. You can't edit
That's
that out.
no. So they could see all that, and you can't just not have the dining room or whatever in the,
on the tour.
So
Right.
I think honestly, and maybe it's not the best thing, but a lot of agents like to control what people see in the house, like with
course.
video. That's the nice thing is we're showing the highlights. We're showing the best parts of the house. In which, I mean, if you're gonna buy a house, you're gonna go see it, so you're gonna want to see all the rooms then. So,
Yeah, it's just I always say the the photos are just kind of like the like you said, the highlights. It's like the advertisement to get someone in there.
Yeah.
It's like very few people. I've helped a couple people buy houses that they've never walked through before.
Yeah.
But which is I always
Usually investors.
Yeah, it's
Wild.
usually investors.
But yeah.
Usually investors. But it's just it is always kind of nerve wracking when they finally go into it for the first time. Like, well, hope you like it, because we've made it pretty far into this transaction, and if you don't like it at this point, like, eesh,
Yeah. Yeah.
But
What about on the wedding side of things? How did you? What have you done to adapt and or add other services?
Yeah. So the last couple of years, like our goal is like I'm pretty happy with what we offer. It's just like add-ons. So like like real estate photography. Now we do floor plans. We got in the 360 tours. We do like I have a huge demand now for like property lines and stuff. So we like added that to our packages. And like people want to put like the square footage and like acres and stuff on that. Um, we have like wedding wise. I'm never going to do wedding photography. I've done a couple weddings as a photographer. It's just not my thing. And also like we have so many wedding photographers that recommend us. I don't want to compete against them. So we just offered like, last year we launched, well, actually 2 years ago, I launched a photo booth, side of the company.
That's
now,
cool.
Now we do photo booths with weddings, and also we use them for a lot of events. And I find it just be as a good way as a sponsorship thing. Like a lot of nonprofits, I just donate our photo booth and it has Metrospect's name on it.
Yeah.
And just helps get the name out. And then we also just brought on a DJ. So now we can do DJing at weddings and
oh, cool.
corporate events and stuff. It was just the guy that actually DJ'd my wedding left the company he was working for. I'm like, let's work together. So we kind of partnered up, and so we've been offering packages and stuff. It's starting to get some like motion on that. So, but that's like brand new. We just have like launched it a couple months ago.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Talk to me about the tripod method.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So I know it's like really corny, but I always say like I believe in like the tripod method of business, which I kind of just made it up. But to me, I just think of like when you have a tripod, maybe not these tripods, but
talking about our shitty tripods. Jason comes in scoping out our equipment like, oh, these guys, fucking amateurs.
They're great for you guys. But yeah, so like you've seen a monopod. It's one leg. If you let go of it, it's gonna fall over.
Right.
So I like tripod because it's 3 legs. So I always like see Metrospect as like a tripod with 3 legs of the company. It's weddings, real estate, and I say corporate work. Which corporate, I just say corporate, but it's commercial, small businesses. It's just all summed up in one word. So yeah. And I kind of think like once I did that and diversified the company, because if I just did weddings during COVID, I probably would have gone bankrupt. Or at least I would have let my employee go. If I just did real estate at times, I wouldn't be making that much of a profit. So, and the corporate stuff is really hard to get. So it's all together, like mix these 3 together. It's a really good balance. And like in the winter right now, January, like there wasn't a ton of real estate stuff, because especially in St. Louis of all that ice storm we had, like everyone kept pushing stuff off. So like real estate shoots got pushed back to this week.
Yeah.
I've been super busy this week. So yeah. And then, so that was okay because we leaned on our corporate work because they still needed content videos. They still needed other things. So, and we still have the weddings we're editing right now from like December and stuff like that. And weddings are slow during the winter. Believe it or not, a ton of people don't only get married in February and January. It's cold
in Missouri.
Yeah. So once March gets back, we're going to be swamped again with a ton of weddings. So
you got a bunch on the books.
Yeah. So I do think this will be the first year we'll probably actually decline in weddings for the first time. But I mean, that's actually just like the whole market in general. I think everyone's bookings are down the last 2 years, which I'm proud to say last year we actually went up. We did 8 more weddings than we did the year before, which I don't know of any wedding videography companies, at least in St. Louis, that actually did more last year. So it is starting to decrease a little bit. And I think it's a balancing thing. It's just like COVID was a huge wave. Everybody had to have video and stuff. So it's a little bit of that. And I think the economy and like people are just like, it's not always a priority to get wedding videography. So it's slowed down a little bit. So
at what point in the process when you're wedding planning should somebody reach out to a videographer? I mean, I know like you're booking the spaces. years in advance.
Yeah.
You know, things like that. You're setting your date. Like, if you were to recommend a bride and future bride or the brides and grooms, when do you recommend them reaching out to you
Yeah.
just to get you on the books for videography?
I mean, I'd say number one at the beginning, but I would definitely say you need to do it after you book your venue. So if you had to, like, if you really need a precise like way to do it, I would do your venue first, in the church. You got to make sure they both work on the same day.
Mhm.
If you're getting married in church or outside or whatever, and then you need to book your photographer and videographer. Um, but you kind of want to coordinate with all three of them if you really know like a videographer you want or a photographer you want, because maybe
They might
they're
have another
available.
shoot.
Yeah, but the venue's not available or vice versa. So it's kind of a balancing act. But typically, I'd say book the venue
sooner the
first.
better.
Yeah, sooner the better. But we have a lot of people last minute. Someone gifts, money and like, oh, they wanted videography, but they couldn't afford it, so they hired us like a month out. I don't know what happened last year. We had like 4 weddings where the videographers like didn't like canceled on them or like disappeared. Like there's some scam artists. I'm like, well, yeah, you have to be careful who you hire. If someone's like charging a couple $100 for a wedding video, they're probably not legit.
Right.
So I don't know if that was the case, but we had so many people. I had one person like they actually like broke their ankles, a wedding videographer. They reached out to us and asked me to shoot their wedding for them. We helped them out, which I think is nice about Metrospect. And the reason why I have employees is like, what if I get sick? What
Mhm.
if I break my arm and I can't shoot a wedding? I mean, I would still be there, but
He'd be
and I have
in
been.
a sling, holding
Yeah.
the camera or something.
I mean, I'm that type of person. I will be there, but stuff happens. So it's like that's why I have employees. I have a team. Because it's like like what if Zach hired me to shoot his real estate photos and I was planning on being there, but I got sick that day.
Right.
And that's a problem with like one person teams. I mean, you have to start out that way.
Mhm.
But I think that's like an advantage I have with my company because I wouldn't say we're massive, like a big company or anything, but we're also like we're not just a one person band.
Gotcha.
Um,
So how many weddings do you already have booked out for this year?
I think we're at 50.
Okay.
So
That's
yeah,
incredible.
so about a little less than half of what we had last year, but that's pretty normal.
For
So
this time of the year.
Yeah.
I'm sure something more will roll in for
Oh,
sure.
yeah. Like I said, typically, I mean, people probably book about 2 or 3 months out in advance, typically. So
Well, yeah, I mean, but it probably makes it easy for budgeting and making sure, like, hey, this is where we're at. This is what revenue we're going to have coming in the future, because it's not like they're canceling their videographers very
Yes.
often, right?
no,
Right.
every
So,
once in a while I'll get a couple that breaks up or something, but no. And even like I had one couple, she hired us. They broke up, the couple, and she got married like 2 years later and hired us again.
Yeah.
And I actually transferred her deposit because I told them like, well, I'm really sorry, but we don't refund deposits. Like,
Yeah.
and that's just like a standard practice.
mhm.
But I will transfer it. So if they get married later on down the road, it's theirs.
Call
So
me. Yeah.
yeah,
The same
so,
people that they broke up and then got back
different.
together.
She met a different guy.
Oh, gotcha.
So-
Same chick, different guy.
Yeah.
Yes. I was like, wow.
Yeah.
Like, but I was like, it seemed like a much better relationship. So I'm like, good for you. So,
You ever just see weddings, you're like, yeah, I don't think these people are going to make it.
uh, you see it, you don't say it.
Well, obviously.
Yeah.
Sure. It's not something you want to say to someone. Yeah.
Yeah. I always hope the best, but
For sure.
sometimes you're worried. Yes.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I've been to some weddings before, and it's like, oh, I knew you guys as a couple, just as boyfriend, girlfriend. You guys fought a lot, so it's like, hope you guys can make it, kind
Yeah.
of thing.
And I feel like, you guys know weddings and stuff like that's like kind of like that's a stressful day sometimes. Doesn't need to be, but sometimes
Oh,
it
it always
is.
is.
Yeah.
At least in my experience, it
Yeah.
always seems to be somebody that always seems to be stressed out. Usually the bride,
Yeah. Or the mother of the bride.
mother of the bride. Yeah.
Yeah.
Too.
People always say like you have issues with bridezillas. Really, no.
Really?
It's really the moms. Yeah.
Really.
So, and luckily with video, a lot of people don't know video. So like, I don't know, it's not as bad. I feel like they're more momzillas, or you want to call them, to the photographer, which is nice for us.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
Make sure
you
you
guys
get
are-
the shot.
Yeah, because you
Yeah.
guys can cut. I mean, obviously, if you're doing a lot of cuts and a lot of, you cut out a lot more stuff than you can with photos, I would imagine.
yeah, I mean, photos, I definitely feel like they can hide stuff a lot easier. We can have
Well,
Photoshop.
Yeah, that's
I mean,
true.
technically we can, but it is very difficult.
Sure.
Do you do a lot of drone footage and stuff like that for weddings
yeah.
now?
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's pretty much every wedding.
Yeah.
So yeah, I always tell people I actually don't charge for it
Okay.
because I can't control the weather and I can't control like, FAA restrictions and stuff. So I don't want to promise. I'm strongly, if I promise you something, 100%, I'm going to get you that. So I always tell them like it's 98% of the time we can get that drone up in the air, we can fly it. But if it's super windy or something, and the videographer doesn't feel it's safe to fly, I tell them don't fly because we're not going to hurt someone just for a drone shot.
Right,
Or what?
because don't they have to get like certified? Like there's
Yeah.
special certifications and
Yes.
like FAA certifications to fly.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, we all have to do that. So it's a lot.
Now, what are some of the FAA restrictions? And like, is it just like
So like you
certain
can't fly, you
areas?
can't fly by an airport and stuff like that. Just a couple places downtown with like, especially real estate too is an issue. And there's like helicopter pads downtown. Like I know like that apartment building next to Barnes. I don't think you can't fly over there. So, yeah, it's always like sometimes we'll shoot houses and they're near an airfield. I actually shot a wedding at an airport. I was like, well, just so you know, I can't fly the
Yeah,
drone.
you definitely can't do the
An
the
active
drone.
airport.
Yeah,
Um, so yeah,
That's
was
an
cool.
interesting location for
for a wedding. Yeah, you wouldn't think.
And it was a small town. They
Yeah.
had like it was like a mid America like vibe airport. Like it wasn't so tiny, but it wasn't like
Right.
St. Louis International Airport or anything. And it was actually nice. They had like a nice lobby area and they used it for the ceremony.
Huh.
So
Huh.
yeah.
Cool.
What's been one of your favorite venues that you've been to for a wedding here in St. Louis?
Well, I would say probably. I mean, there's a lot of great venues, but I'm biased
Okay.
because I got married in Union Station.
I was gonna say
That's-
that's
yeah. So I love it there. I love that the light shows included and stuff. And I love architecture and like the old vibe. And like to me, it was extra special. So like my dad passed away 7 years ago, and he was a huge like Lionel train buff and like love collecting. It was really cool to get married in like a train station.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So
that's kind of one of those spots where I always thought like if I do get married and have an actual wedding, that's where it would be.
yeah.
So
Yeah,
It's
that's cool.
beautiful.
Yeah.
But there's a ton of great venues in St. Louis, and it's you can get the barn vibe, you can get the historic like classy vibe, you can get something modern and sleek. It's nice. There's a lot of good options here
For
So,
sure. There definitely is.
Yeah.
Talk to me about AI and like how
Oh.
has that affected your business?
I have a love-hate relationship with AI.
Okay,
Mhm.
let's get into that.
So as a real estate photographer, AI is amazing.
Okay. Why is that?
It's making photoshopping stuff so much easier. Like just the other day, we had to take a dumpster out for a client that was next to our house. That they left it, like the construction crew was like cleaning out. They
Yeah.
left it, and I was supposed to pick it up. Man, it took like 30 seconds. We got rid of that thing.
Really?
Back in the day, I don't even know if we could have done it. It was so close, but AI fixed it. So yeah, it's pretty incredible. It's not perfect for sure. It doesn't always work. But a lot of times it does a pretty good job. So that sense has been really great.
Okay. So
we've-
real estate photography. We'll give it a thumbs
A
up.
plus, yeah.
All right, what's some of the other,
Um,
setbacks or what don't you like about it?
so a video, it's not super effective yet.
How do they use it for video, or how is it advertised? It's being used for video.
I would say there's probably two main ways. Like number one, like removing things or kind of like Photoshop, but it's not very good at all. I'm seeing it like they're doing like Premiere has that or Premiere After Effects has this extended clip now. So you could choose something that's 3 seconds long and it will estimate what the next couple like seconds would look like. And it will add on to the video clip and make it longer, which is a cool
Wow,
That's pretty
concept.
cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that is really cool.
But our testing has been pretty bad. So it's pretty bad. But I've heard some people using it. So
It's you gotta think it's still pretty early. So hopefully in the next few years,
yeah,
it's like who knows where that can go, and I'm sure it's gonna only improve. Just
Yeah.
like when we look at we're on Chat GPT, like what 4 point something. Looking back at what
Yeah.
I never used it when it was in the
Yeah.
earlier stages, but like I would imagine it's grown
yeah,
exponentially.
Well,
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
every time you type something in or if something new's posted, it's picking that up. It's just insane.
yeah.
But what kind of trends do you see moving forward
Mm.
within the videography in each one of your three pillars? Anything to keep an eye out on or something or anything that you're like seeing moving forward to adapt to?
Yeah, I mean, AI using it. Everyone's using ChatGPT for like content ideas and stuff, which I think is good. And we've used it a couple times, just like to get started with a script, which I think is cool. And just like if you're someone like me, you just need a jump off point.
Mhm.
So like I think that's really cool to use. I do see AI like helping with like especially like podcasts. There's AI software that will cut this together real easy and quickly, and that's pretty good. The only thing is it doesn't like when you guys watch a movie conversation between two people, you'll notice like sometimes they cut to the other person talking like you have the person talking and then it'll cut to the reaction of the other person.
Mhm.
That's a natural way to have a scene play out. AI only knows it cuts
When you're
when
talking.
it
Talks.
talks. So
Mm.
you'll see it like hi, and then like it cuts immediately to that person. So I mean, it's technically right,
Right.
So
It's
it
doing what
is,
you're
but it
asking it to
doesn't.
do, but it doesn't do like that human touch.
Yes.
It
So
doesn't
you're
get that.
yeah. So like, let's say if Zach was over here, I'm talking, Zach's crying.
Yeah.
You're not. It's not going to cut to that. So
They just told me more about AI, Jason.
yeah. So that's kind of like it's still nice to have the human touch, or at least you need to like as a human editor, you need to go in and just like adjust it, and that's what like we've done if we do use it, which we haven't used it too much on video yet, but we use it for Photoshop for sure. Um, I think like as far as like Instagram, like social media and stuff like that, obviously shorter vertical content like the way to go. We're really working out the kinks right now, but we're trying to like give clients vertical and horizontal video at the same time.
Really?
What does that mean?
So when you do like Instagram
Mhm.
or TikTok, it's a square,
Mhm.
a rectangle, I guess technically. But when you watch like a house tour video, you go on Zillow and you're at your laptop, which I feel
Just
like,
portrait versus landscape.
Exactly.
yes,
Gotcha.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And everyone calls it differently. Like
Yeah.
us video people will say like that the dimensions, aspect ratios, and stuff. And you have like real estate people that say portrait or
landscape
vertical,
or whatever. Yeah.
So it's like everyone. It's funny that everyone calls it a little bit different, but yeah.
Gotcha. Okay.
But yeah, so I think we're trying to work out better ways to do both at the same time. Because right now, if you want both, I would shoot it wide, horizontal and stuff, and then I would edit it and crop it in and stuff, and make it vertical for Instagram. But it's kind of a lot of work to do that. So we're trying to actually rig two cameras at once that you can shoot both at the same time.
Okay.
Really?
Yeah,
Like
that's
you like
interesting.
connect them, or how does that? That's
So
rig, or is it?
we've been mounting an iPhone to our normal video camera,
Okay.
and we just shoot both at the same time.
Oh wow.
And then we just sync the clips together, and we're trying, and you have to adjust everything to still work. But we're trying to figure out better ways to streamline that. I think that's really a need in this community is that real estate clients or agents want both.
Yeah. Well,
Um,
yeah, especially for, we definitely want the vertical stuff for,
Well, there's
for
social-
all social
Here's
media
a
stuff.
patent idea for you. Create a camera that sits on top of another camera instead of not having to use your iPhone.
Yeah.
Invent that with the clip.
It's like a big old rig.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like one of
the
those.
problem is the stuff gets heavy.
Sure. Yeah.
So,
That makes sense.
Like
Yeah.
a GoPro.
You have to get like one of those, like, I've seen those ones where the guys wear it where it's like almost like a belt. And then, like,
yeah.
like,
I see those people like wedding videographers use that stuff and like have the belt and the whole rig. I'm like, that's just like overkill. I'm like, that's got to get in the way. And like, sure, it would be nice to have, but I feel like it just gets in the way. And like, just work up your back muscles.
Yeah, you got to just work out.
Yeah.
Mix in some squats and some,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Work that back.
pull-ups.
Yeah. Oh, and then I also was gonna say, like, I think the future too. I think we're finally starting to get back into like the filmmaking and storytelling on social media. So I think it's gonna be coming back to not just here's a cool effect. Let me do fireworks on this video clip. It's tell a story. Especially like when I started out, I even like with like real estate videos, I tried to tell a story of a house, and now it's gotten to the point it's more like let's make this cool, let's make it
clippy.
quick, fast. Now like I think it's really important to like what maybe not necessarily real estate as much. If the agent's in the video, I do think it's important.
Sure.
But yeah, like it's about storytelling again. I think that stuff's coming back.
I feel like that's right up your alley with kind of your
Yeah.
origins in this. Now, do you see yourself ever going back to kind of doing some of these more passion projects and kind of making films or making anything like that?
Oh
down
yeah,
the line?
100%.
That's what you
Yeah,
want to get
I was
into
actually
down the line?
I got asked to DP a short film.
Cool.
Hopefully that'll be probably in the summer.
Sweet.
So, and it's a horror film. I'm pumped.
Cool.
I was
Like
gonna
here
ask.
locally?
Yeah. So
Sweet.
local filmmaker. So hopefully they get the funding and stuff and it'll happen.
That'll be fun.
So yeah. And I want to do that. I would love to get back to going to film festivals and stuff. But I still like the company. We're at a weird point right now. I'm still like trying to get the systems running up and making it run smooth.
So you can kind of like
Have a little bit more free
More
time.
free time. You can,
Yeah.
do less in the day to days and be able to kind of step back and
100%.
do kind of the more your passion project fun stuff that you
Yeah.
always wanted to do.
Yeah. My dream is not to work 6 days a week.
No,
So during wedding season, I do work 6 days.
sure.
So, and like, that's like the thing is like, I strive really hard with the company right now and I do put a lot of time in. So my goal is hopefully once I start to have a family, I can actually have weekends off and spend more time with my family and actually be there for my kids and stuff. So I'm trying to make the sacrifice now instead of later. So I'm just like full foot on the pedal right now, trying to accelerate the company as fast as I can. So I can have it at the point when I do have a family. So yeah.
Now, those are personal goals for you. Do those match up with what you see with Metrospect as a whole, going more towards those projects that you're looking to, or do you want to keep just keeping those same three pillars, and or maybe even add in a fourth pillar for what it is that you're talking about?
Yeah, I think we might down the road like want to start almost like a marketing agency or some type of social media like side of the company. Because I don't know, I
It's gotten
haven't.
so big.
Yeah, it's so big, and I'm probably gonna hire someone full time to help me run that. Because there's so much, it's an ever changing thing. Right now we're in talks with people like trying to partner with people. Hopefully that works out, and then I'll just do that way. But I think down the road we might like have our own like, I don't know. It's gonna be more social media because we work with a lot of marketing agencies, but they do like more TV, like print ads, stuff like that. So not as much like social media content and stuff. So
Now, have you got?
mm,
Obviously, you said you're working with like a lot of or a handful of social media people, or like just people that you're just making like content for them, or
yeah.
not?
So yeah, we've had like I had a social media company in Washington, Missouri. They just want to up their like content, and so they're having us like shoot their videos and stuff now. Instead of just using an iPhone, so they want to make it look cool.
Sure.
Yeah, so we're kind of working with those people and trying to figure that out. It's really hard to like price content. Like I don't know, just like
Yeah,
content
I know we've
videos.
talked about this and like off,
Yeah,
a couple times before, and just because it's like it's kind of a new frontier,
yeah,
as far as for a lot of people that were just been doing your standard videography, photography. Like I feel like social media is just kind of a whole other thing.
yeah, and that's
'Cause it's
like
got
the
to be
thing.
shot differently, like as you said. It's just
Yeah,
got to makes everything different.
100%. Like, let's just say like a microbrewery approached me and they need a 2-minute video for their website. And they want to like show everything, Like, okay, well, that's one day of filming. So I can figure out the pricing there. If they, maybe they need a couple photos and stuff, I can figure that out. But if that microbrewery came to me and was like, hey, I need 30 social media videos and they're 15 seconds or less. Okay, well, that's
That's
like,
a
hold on.
different. That's a different order.
It's,
Yeah,
yeah, that's a little bit more tough to figure out than
sure.
like
All the
the
short
individual
stuff.
videos. So that's what we're like, I wouldn't say struggling, but figuring out now is like trying to package it differently. And also like a lot of those production, like we get too over the top of our productions. Like we have way too many lights and stuff, but we want it to look as best as it can. So like how do we slim that down, make it easier, more streamlined for like, small businesses that aren't gonna have that type of budget and stuff.
Sure.
So yeah.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
Just what you've created dude. I didn't know you've been doing it for 17 years. That's crazy
Yeah.
to me. That's so cool.
I always say like my biggest gift I've ever got was that I knew from the beginning I love cameras and like I want to be in this field. I'm like, well, I think I listened to one of you guys' podcasts not too long ago when like someone like you guys talked about how people get their degree, like college degrees and actually don't work in that field.
Yep, that's me.
So
Yeah.
yeah. I'm one of the few people that probably actually do work
Sure.
in the field that they studied.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've just been gifted that
You
I
and all the
knew what I
lawyers and
wanted.
doctors out there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
Oh man, Jason. Well, this was a lot of fun, man. I really appreciate you, coming in today. And
Yeah.
one last question
Yeah,
before we
we
get you out of here.
end it with the last one called the Tombstone Game. Here lies Jason. What's it say on your tombstone?
Oh, I don't know. I want to say like great father or something, but I don't have kids, so that doesn't work. I don't know. I just want to be remembered as like a good person that's honorable and like a man of his word and stuff. And like I feel like sometimes that doesn't happen as much anymore, and that's just like really important to me. When I promise something, I keep my word. And yeah, I don't know. I guess to keep it simple, here lies Jason, a good man.
That's great. Love it.
Perfect.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for tuning into the show. If you could, please click that subscribe button if you haven't already. That would help us out a ton. Click that like button as well. Comment what you thought below, and we will see you next time.